How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Sean with us, which is the co-founder of the marketing agency in Philadelphia. So Sean, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend to entrepreneurs to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Well, thank you, Harry. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, I mean, it's
Pleasure.
not a direct correlation, right? I think my process is a little bit different than the average people you have on. It's really not 5 steps, but I'll give 5 main tips to get to your first million, because I think a
That will
lot of
do.
people, they see, oh, £1,000,000, $1,000,000, but there's different ways to do it. Just like there's different people out there, different religions, there's different ways to do this. So the first thing I'd recommend is you want to solve rich people's problems because they pay better, obviously. I think it's so
That's a
much
great
easier
tip,
to
actually.
sell. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's so much easier to sell to rich people because you don't need to sell to that many of them. Contrasting to selling to poor people or perhaps maybe the middle class, and you need to sell so many more items or units or whatever you're selling for that specific thing. So that's number one. Number two is you want to stick with the same product or service for the first £1,000,000. And I think a lot of people who are listening have different opinions on that. But on my opinion, once you hit $1,000,000, even 500K, right, you start to get a good understanding of what's working and what's not. And if you have one
Absolutely.
thing that's selling very, very well, you want to just stick with that and not necessarily diversify too fast, because what will happen is your main service or product is then going to become diluted because you're not focusing on it. I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan, and Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl winning quarterback, has a great saying, and he says, keep the main thing the main thing. And I think that's a great little, tidbit there. Some other tips I have is you want to surround yourself with an abundance of knowledge of your industry in continuing your education on that. I think a lot of people, I mean, it's 2025. Like, there's no excuse. If you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can log into all these news outlets and platforms, and you really want to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to this, because the more you can stay ahead of the curve, the more value you can provide and the more knowledge for that industry. So I'll give you an example. If I'm a digital marketer, so I tend to stay as up to date as I can on all the Google updates and whatnot. If someone isn't up to date on any Google algorithms or programs or anything that's happening, what tends to happen is their product or service then becomes diluted because they don't stay up to date and they're doing stuff wrong internally and it's not being as valuable. So they can't necessarily say, oh, we're going to get you higher rankings on Google, we're going to get you more clients, because they don't know themselves how to do it because they've been so out of touch. And I guess a final thing too, and this is just a personal one for me, is you want to stay locked in and as distraction free as possible. So what I mean by that is, when you're first starting out, to everyone who's watching this, if you're trying to start a new business, there's a certain bell curve, right? Is you start to meet a lot of people, take a lot of meetings, and then as you start to get busier, there's a decline of that bell curve where you start taking less meetings, and your time actually becomes more scarce. So I would just say for the first upslope of that, where you start getting busy with meeting people, meeting investors, meeting potential partners, like meeting people who are going to grow your business or anything like that, you want to make sure you're taking meetings with the right people. And it's one of those things where I think there's an intuitive sense of just knowing people and knowing how they operate. And people who don't have that intuitive sense, I would recommend you go on Google and kind of maybe check out how to do that, because I think it's really important to know how to read people, to know if they're going to be good, bad, if they want something from you, if they're just trying to help. Because a lot of people out there, when you're starting a business, they want a piece of that. And you want to make sure when you're growing the business, especially to the first £1,000,000 in this case, you want to take meetings with the right people. You don't want to waste any time whatsoever. So those are some tips that I recommend.
Okay. So Sean, I love the how what you point the direction in terms of sale to reach people. I always ask a question, and you will be shocked with the answer to everybody. I say, what is easier to sell 1,000 bucks in £1 or $1? I'm speaking pound because I'm based in United Kingdom, London. But anyway, in $1. So how is easier to make $1,000, 1,000 bucks in $1 each, or 1 buck in $1,000? And I'm not gonna ask the question to you because I know right on the top that you know the answer. But you will be shocked. Everybody that I ask this question, it tell me, Harry, absolutely, it's more easy to sell 1,000 bucks to $1 because they are cheap. I'm like, guys, are you really thinking this deeply? Do you think that because you have the bag and you're gonna price it at $1, clients is gonna come out of the sky and buy it? No, because it's cheap. People are gonna come and buy it. They need to like it. You need to be in front of these people that like this kind of bag of £1 and be in front of them. That's all cost. Whether if you have one bag for 1,000, well, you get in front of rich people, like you say, and eventually whoever like it will buy. Actually, they don't have money problem. So the fact that it's $1,000, it's no problem for them because, like you described before, they are rich, or meaning they don't have money problem, so they can afford. I don't know. In London, you go around here also as well. And if you see the shops where for the luxury, sometimes there is not even price on the items. Yeah. And I
Hmm.
was working with my dad the other day, and my dad is telling me, look, these people are so stupid. Why don't put the price on the items? I'm telling daddy, because the people that buy these items, they don't they don't need to look at the price. They don't have money problem. So can you expand a little bit more, Sean, in this, which I agree 100% in your statement. Why do you think that it's easy to solve problem for rich people rather to solve problems to other kind of demographic? Without any bias, this is your opinion. I agree with you. I mean, if you want to make your life easy, solve a problem for rich people and have a business people that can afford more. But can you expand a little bit more?
There's so many pros to it. I think the overarching answer to your question is knowledge. I think rich people, they're smarter than the average person. They know more than the average person. They have more resources than the average person. So I'll give you an example. If I have a photo shoot business, right? And some rich guy calls me up and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I need a photo shoot for tomorrow. What's your price?" "Oh, it's $1,000. Oh, send me the invoice." And he pays it in 5 minutes because he needs that done. That rich person has seen our reviews, knows we're a good, reputable company. He doesn't have a problem paying, and there's no questions asked, right? There's literally no questions asked. That's $1,000 in revenue, and I made it in 5 minutes. Whereas if you have the lesser rich person, I'll just call him the poor person, right? You say, "Oh, I need a photo shoot tomorrow." Well, here's the quote. It's $1,000. They're going to ask a million questions. They're going to say, "Oh, can we break it up into multiple increments? Can we do 250 for 4 or
Mhm.
500 for 2 payments, something like that?" They're going to say, "Oh, what camera are you using?" There's going to be all these kind of questions that don't really mean anything at the end of the day. I mean, they do mean something, but they're tire kickers at the end of the day. And I think the biggest reason is because they don't have the resources, they don't have the income, and they don't have the knowledge to.
Or they want to have access to a product that they cannot afford. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do speaking events all over the world, and you see, everybody tell me, Harry, I would love to speak at your event. I said, really? You would love to speak at my event? Yeah. Do you know how much it's costing me to put an event together, and you're gonna come to speak? Do you want to add something? Because if you add, okay, Harry, this amount of money, so you can use it for marketing to bring the people, or I can help you with this, or gonna do. Now, completely different conversation. I can consider to bring you to speak on my event, but
Right.
as long as you know Les Brown or anyone, of you are really even you see.
Yeah.
Uh, so sometimes the client don't understand the dynamic how it works, and But entrepreneurs also sometimes, that's why the business ultimately fail. Sometimes they don't understand the value of marketing and sales, especially at the very early stage when you're having a startup. Yeah, this is what I find. I find a lot of people. Yeah, I find a lot of people come to me, Harry. I have an amazing business. My product is amazing. It's gonna change the world. It will sell by itself. So I'm remortgaging all my house and I'm asking money to all my friends to improve my product to make it amazing. Yeah. And after they take all the money, they make this wonderful product that's gonna change the world. That is so shiny, so amazing. It has even patented and so good this product. And after they run out of money, then they come and say, Sean, can you help me? Because I cannot sell it. And by the way, I run out of money. And
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, now is when you're asking for help. Now is when you're understanding that without sales and marketing, these things doesn't work. So let me ask you the question, Sean. If you have $100 and you're starting a new business, how much of these $100 you will use in product development, and how much of these $100 you will use in sales and marketing? Just for the founders that listen in the broadcast an idea how they need to manage the resources. Obviously, this is your opinion, uh, but if you have a product and you cannot sell it, you are nothing. And for you to sell it, you need to put it in front of people. And if you don't know how to put this product in front of people, so people can actually buy it, in my opinion, you are
Yeah.
nothing. So how you break down this $100?
Well, I think this is going to shock a lot of people.
Or is
I
it
so
cheap?
just
Or it's cheap? Or it's cheap going out there? Maybe it's cheap going out there and show the product out there. In my experience, and I'm doing business for 17 years, people think that it's cheap and it's not, because you need high qualified person, people like you, to design the right strategy. And and I don't think that this is cheap. So you tell me what you do with the $100 then.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Harry. I think this answer is going to shock a lot of people. So obviously, I run a digital marketing company. Like marketing is one of the professional services I provide. I would say you want to spend as much as possible of that $100 on product development. Make sure your product is as good as you can make it, so people tell their friends, tell their family, tell their colleagues, and you get referrals from that. So you don't have to spend anything on marketing. I think a lot of people nowadays, they see the
But you
social
have
media.
that costs time, that costs money as well. You see, the thing in the show, like why it doesn't make sense, is that I see again and again and again, startup founders. You see that if they have some funding on some resources, and hear me out, they raise funds and they take on the money and they put it onto a product and say, guys, in my opinion, that's my own personal opinion. I
Yeah.
think 80% of the funds need to go to sales and marketing, and only 20% on the actually the this marketing will even improve your product, because sometimes you think that you have a product, and when you do digital marketing or whatever and you show it to the market, you can come back to entrepreneur and say, listen, my friend, this market doesn't want to buy this product in this form, because look, the advertising is really is very expensive. So we need to pivot this. We need to offer as a service. We need to do something else with this product, because at the form that you wanted to sell it, the market don't want to buy it. I know, because it's costing a lot in advertisement. So what message do you have for startup founders there that don't at the beginning of the company think that marketing and sales is a joke, that this is something that I don't want to spend there, or if I find someone that bring me a client, you know what, I'm gonna pay them 2% commission, 5% commission, and say, look, do you know how much is the cost of this person to put you out? You have an startup, nobody knows you, and that person that is bringing you, making that introduction, is putting take his credibility in your product, because you actually don't have any, because you started yesterday. So, and do you think that this is worth 2%, just so little commission? So there are a lot of misconceptions of the entrepreneurs founder, and we having this discussion because we really want to help them. We really want today we're talking about sales and marketing. This is nothing that came out of the sky. the sky. Actually, this broadcast, we already interviewed 500 millionaires, 5 steps how to make the first million. Yeah. I haven't find anybody yet that come to this podcast and tell me, Harry, you know what? I'm a millionaire, but I hate sales and marketing. I haven't find
Right.
anybody yet. Now everybody want to become wealthy. Everybody want to make the million. Everybody there, but no, they don't like sales. They don't like marketing. They don't want to spend. They don't want this, and they have all these resistance. And then you find out that they are broke or the company um, don't collapse. So what can we do with the mindset of the startup founders? And why do you think that they have this mindset in the first place?
Well, it's a loaded question. I mean, I think they have the mindset because they got bad advice from generations before them. I think that's the first thing. Because if you're a business owner or an aspiring business owner, the people you're going to talk to are the people that you know and get advice from them. And the majority of people and business owners aren't that successful. As we'll touch on later in this podcast, a majority of businesses fail in the first 5 years. So it's safe to assume that information that they're getting is not the best information. So what's a way to get better information? Well, I mean, again, I revert back to, you want to talk to and channel into the right people. A couple of mentors that, I haven't met them at all, and I doubt I will, or maybe one day I will, but people like Alex Hormozi, people like Gary Vee, people like Tony Robbins. I think
I met Tony Robbins.
You met Tony Robbins.
Oh, yes.
How was he?
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing. Outstanding. We have pictures there. I think he's in the background of this. He's brilliant. Yeah. He will hug you like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually spoke at the same event that Tony Robbins once in London, National Achievement Congress.
Wow.
Yeah. Look, this here, there. I'm behind with him.
That's amazing, man. Oh my gosh. I think those people have timeless principles of business that if you follow them, they're going to win a majority of the time. Again, it still depends on a numerous amount of variables. How competent is that person? How well is the market doing that they're in? How good is their product? How good is it to manage cash flow? What's their ability to manage cash flow? All these things are very important. And if they don't have those answers to the questions, they're going to fail. So all the things I just described on the principle side could be right, but they still could fail if they lack those core values, such as managing cash flow, building a superior product, knowing the market and where it's going, and being able to pivot, and that's what we saw in COVID in 2020, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. That's a question I want to ask you regarding COVID, because that's the other thing. Even large companies, when we have the pandemic, they decided that was a good idea to cut the marketing budget, and everybody was cutting marketing budget. And you own a digital marketing agency, and I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Everybody was taking me. No, we're taking the marketing cost down. I must say, look, number one is not a cost; it's an investment, and number two, do you really know how the thing works? It's by bidding. So if everybody's cutting the cost, your ad is going to become cheaper. You should put the foot on the gas. What are you talking about? And then there were a few people that did that rather than a cut, they put the foot on the gas, and they got so much market share that you won't believe. But again, 90% of the companies, including the big ones, thought that it was a good idea, that now that we are in an uncertain time and we don't know what's going on, okay, the first thing that we don't need is marketing and say, again, Sean, why people do, why it doesn't make sense to me. And there are people that build in businesses, they have big companies, and I think that the problem is that they see it like an overhead rather than an investment. So I'm seeing marketing like an investment. Okay, how much it costs me to put to be in front of the client? Yeah, and how much it cost me to get in front of the client, and then if it costs me $2, and then we send the product for 10, and then we have operation or whatever, you know what? I have profit margin, so I happy to invest these $2 to get in front of the client, because when I'm in front of this client, I can sell for 10, for 20. But if I don't have these $2, how gonna get in front of the client? I cannot get in front of anybody. If I cannot go in front of anybody, how gonna sell my thing, right? But no,
Sure.
everybody's seeing like that this is a cost, like I don't know, like a staff cost, like operational cost, like I don't know, um, other costs, fixed costs that the business have. That of course, when something is uncertain, I remember I told to my staff, guys, you know what? For the time being, for the next 2 weeks, let's decrease the hours of work rather than 8. Let's everybody work 4 hours. You guys, me no, I'm gonna work more, but you guys, let's reduce. Let's see what happens. But it never happened in my head that I want that I'm gonna reduce the the budget for marketing, because and sales, because this is what gaming from the people, right? So, um, who do you think that we can blame for to, or who's teaching people, or who's getting this? Probably it's the school, probably the business school, probably the association. Probably it's true that also what you say, that maybe they where they're getting the source from. But who can we blame, and that have defined in the entrepreneurial world marketing as a cost, what is actually an investment to acquire the client? Who do you think is the fault?
I'm sure you could blame a lot of people, but I think it's up to the entrepreneur to take
To
that
get the right
responsibility.
information. I agree with you. Probably they should be listening this podcast.
Yeah, exactly right.
That would
Definitely
be
they should.
helpful for them if they're listening this. Yeah. So they need to get the right source of information, right?
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too where, you and I, Harry, we think differently because we're entrepreneurial. And the average 9 to 5 person, they just don't think that way. And especially people that are in a 9 to 5 kind of business and mentality.
And some of them are on charge of the marketing decisions for the large company, right? They
Right.
are 9 to 5. Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's one of those things where if you're going to start a business, you need to change your mindset to making it, just a more abundant mindset. But I'll kind of contradict what I just said. It does differ, though, pertaining to COVID on marketing. So obviously, if you're a retail business like perhaps JCPenney, no one could go in JCPenney because of COVID. So it wouldn't make sense to increase the marketing budget because they didn't necessarily, the marketing budget for the retail stores, I'll just say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense to put more digital
Exactly. And the
advertisement
online side of
for,
it.
for the online side of it.
Yeah,
Yes,
but they
exactly
cut the
right.
digital. The issue is that they cut the digital. If the other one, obviously, okay, fine. Every shops are closed, so we're not gonna spend in advertising on there because people cannot come. But what happened? I was not this particular company, because I don't know the details, to be honest. But the general trend was everybody was cutting marketing, including the online operation, the digital.
Right.
When panic came, yeah. So. I think that we need to continue with this conversation with the topic, and the entrepreneur need to know that if you have an startup, the marketing and sales guy or person that you gonna get advice from, or you're gonna hire, right? This is your best
Sure.
friend. This is a person that actually will make you happy, because I see a lot and a lot and a lot, and it's normal because first time founders, they are very product centric. They love
Yeah.
the product and in love with the product. That's why they want to be the business, and somehow get lost in translation, that they get so emotional attached to the product that they think that the product is everything. That this business is the product, and it's not. The product is only 20%. Yeah. And I'm glad that you're talking about retail because talking about customer of acquisition. Yeah. I said, no, I have the retail. No, my clients come for free because, they come into my store. Really? So how much it costs you the store? And how much it costs you to put the branding? And how much it costs you to put the lights so people can see the store or to see the thing? So this it goes in this investment as marketing. So your clients doesn't come for free. They never come for free to anybody. Yeah. And it costs to acquire clients, especially if you are an early state. It costs more. It costs time. If you don't have money, it will cost you time. But the other day I speak with one founder and said, listen, if you have low resources and you have a team, you have to all your team guys, if you have a good product, all of you, you have 4 of you, 5, all of you have to start to get involved in selling this thing. If you don't have money to pay anybody, you need to go out, all of you, and sell. And 2 of them say, well, this is not my job. And like, this is not your jobs. You think that you are in a company, in a 9 to 5 job, that everything is your job. You're an entrepreneur. What are you talking about? This is not your job.
Yeah,
No, I don't like it, and whatever. Well, if you're in business,
tough crap.
how many things we do that we don't like, that we have to do. Yeah. Even this podcast at the beginning, I was resisting to it a lot. Yeah. My girlfriend worked me into this. Oh, Harry, we should do a podcast. Yeah. So what she's trying to mean is that I do the podcast, figure out everything, and then she will do the podcast, which she really wanted to do it. So our team prepare everything for me, and also, and I started before my girlfriend. My girlfriend was, oh, let's do the podcast. I want to do the podcast. Well, I started before, and she started after. Now she's doing amazing. Yeah, she's doing her podcast is doing amazing. But the whole point of the story is that sometimes we need to do things in business that sometimes we resist it and we don't even like it to do it. I'm kind of warming up to my podcast now, especially because I have brilliant people like you, and I'm having the time of my lifetime with this podcast, to be honest. Yeah, but at the beginning I was resisting it. Yeah, I was like, man, in front of the computer and interviewing entrepreneurs. So, but I'm having a lot of fun. It's amazing, actually. So, Sean,
It's awesome.
the what is the biggest challenge that you have encountered as an entrepreneur growing your business, and how you overcome that challenge?
Well, I guess I'll go a little personal here, Harry. I think the biggest challenge I've ever had to face was when my dad went to prison when I was in college, when I started the business. And
Wow.
I'm not going to get into the whole X's and O's of it, but you've seen, and I think a lot of the whole audience has seen Wolf of Wall Street. Now, I'll just leave it at that. That he was a stockbroker, had his own company, and I'll just leave it at that. Very similar to the whole Jordan Belfort storyline. Not as glamorous though. You couldn't make a movie out of that though. Or maybe we already did. I don't know. I'll need to see that one day. But yeah, I mean, I was in college. I was 20 years old, and being told that your dad's going to prison for 6 years isn't necessarily on your whole
Wow.
horoscope, right? And your whole magic 8 ball, right? Like
A
you're not
big
thinking that's
setback.
going to happen.
My goodness.
And what happened, Harry, was I think I started to develop a sense of just because, my mom, she worked, she's been remarried. My parents split up when I was, very young. So she remarried. She's very successful at what she does. And my stepdad is very successful at what he does as well. But I got this sense of just wanting to provide and wanting to just be completely relentless, in whatever I'm doing. And I think if you're a new entrepreneur, what you just said earlier about, oh, it's not my problem, it's not this, you have to take 100% responsibility and accountability of every single action you're doing with the business, whether it's hiring, sales, marketing, product, whatever it is. You need to be relentless with accountability and responsibility, because the second you push that responsibility off and make an excuse, that's
You're
the
out of the game.
second that you stop growing. So, yeah,
Yeah. Sean, I think that sometimes the worst day of your life become the best day of your life, and
yeah,
sometimes have a separate kind of situation that I arrived to UK to London. My English was no good, so I started to work as in a pub, right? And
mm,
they were paying me the minimum wage. So by then, back then I think it was £5.75 per hour. Don't even reach £6, yeah. So and then I was working in this pub because I want to learn English and so on. And I got the news that my dad got cancer, right? I need to operate in Spain. And I'm
oh,
like, I'm there broke, like kind of, I'm spending more than what I'm making.
yeah,
And well, long story short, my brother have to use all his savings to save my dad's life. I couldn't contribute anything. And again, something happened in me, same similar to you, that you made this promise to yourself that that you're not gonna be in this situation again. That you something happened to the people that you love. You have to be able to provide. Yeah. Maybe in your case, you say your dad is going to prison. You say I'm alone here. Nobody, no one is here to support me. I got to provide for myself, and probably it's me who have to provide for daddy now because daddy now cannot provide anymore because where he is.
yeah.
So now, so the question goes more deeply is why you and I have to wait until something drastic happen in our life to become who we really want to be. And this is not only for us, this is for everybody listening, because this story in this broadcast a lot and a lot and a lot. It's actually very common that entrepreneurs have this big breakthrough, this make the decision when something drastic, there are people here in this broadcast that lost a child, and something happened within themselves that, that they focus in the business to release the pain and then they make hundreds of millions. And then when you need so much money, and then when you on top, it was a situation that that he find the business a way to escape and things like this, right? So so why we are like this? Why we need to wait? Because on the other hand, there are people now in corporate America that looking at you so young, so clever that you have your business and you decide your own destiny. And if you're gonna go on holiday tomorrow, you go and you don't need to tell anybody. And you have people working for you and so on. So you can provide for your people that work for you and whatever. Well, we have other people in corporate America that they are trapped in a golden cage. Listen to this podcast. Say, well, I wish that I have the courage to have my own business. They also have skills. They are also very smart people. That's why they depend on a lot of salary. But still, they're trapped in the golden cage with this big house and this big car, and they think that they are free and they have freedom until somebody come one day and tell them, look, we don't need you anymore. And now you have a certain age and you only know very good one skill because this is what you do in corporate. You master one skill. Whether being an entrepreneur is a completely different ball game, you need to have a lot of skills. I think that if you and I go out there to find a job in something, we don't know what to put in the CV because sales, I know how to do marketing, I know how to do this, I know how to do this. You know what I mean? So, but why? Why we operate like this? Why? Maybe we have been so lucky that the worst day of our life become the day of our life, and probably people that are trapped in corporate America, they have this very plain life. Nothing happened to them, and they kind of miss the train. So, what is your view on this? A little bit philosophical.
I think that's probably the best question I've heard in a long time.
Ah,
Why
thank
does
you.
it take something drastic, something terrible to happen to change your mindset? Why can't we change our mindset now? Why? And I
For
think what
everybody
ends up,
listening, for example.
yeah, yeah. And I think, I could go on a whole tangent on that. It's definitely a rhetorical question. I think for the audience, it's good for you to ask yourself that. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, if you're not happy with your 9 to 5, why not change your mindset now? Right? It's never too late, in my opinion. I'll just say this. I'm super grateful that my dad went to prison. And that's a very weird thing to say, but
Well,
it's
that's what I'm saying. The worst day of your life become the best day of your life, and you
yes.
don't
And
even know
I was going
why.
to Yeah, and I was going to reference your point. Yeah, it's a beautiful statement you made, Harry. I totally agree with that. And I think I'm looking back on it now, that little college me, not too long ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, who was desperate, who was broke, who just didn't know anything about anything. And now to be able to, say I have a company that's, worth, some decent scratch, and we provide a lot of value. Is It's not just the company, but I think it's the thing that you can't be taxed on. It's your mindset and your skill set. Unless the government figures out how to do that, they can tax me, they can do whatever, but they can't break my spirit. They can't get rid of my mindset, and they can't get rid of my skill set. And I think that's honestly the most grateful thing I'm proud of from all those crazy
Mm.
experiences, for sure.
Yeah, I think that when you're very young, you have different readings. So something triggered you, something happened within yourself that you say, "What? This happened to daddy. You know what? I'm going to provide myself, and I'm gonna take responsibility, and I'm gonna create my own job."
Yeah,
So because if I create my own job and I'm responsible for everything that I do, this thing will never happen to me.
yeah,
And as a result, look what happened. It went even better because entrepreneurship. I've been asking this to everybody here that come to this broadcast. We always have this uh, something within ourselves that we can do better. Yeah, but this is not enough. And it's no. We have people in this broadcast that coming from generations of entrepreneurs and family entrepreneurs. We have people also that like me, that nobody in my family is entrepreneur, was my grandfather, and he was a he died very young when I was very young, so I couldn't have any reference from my grandfather, and he has a small business, small grocery, so he had a small grocery, so we have something within ourselves that somehow we born from this, or we took a book, or we have something that is already within ourselves. But you know what happens, Sean? It's not enough to having it. It needs that moment, this spark, this decision, okay? Uh, this incident that sparked this entrepreneurial mindset and decision. I think this just you take the decision, okay? And I took my decision gonna be an entrepreneur 17 years ago. I'm still around. You know what I mean? So and I have been a very bumpy ride. I have restaurant, lost money, property business, you name it. So, um, but I love it. I love it that I can create my own job, that I
yeah,
can create my own future, and I can work with people that I like, which is amazing. You see, I only talk and work with people that I like. I don't need to, sometimes you see people at work, you hear the people, they have to work with people that they don't like and they have to just deal with it. Can you imagine being 8 hours surrounded with people that you don't like or whatever? I think in my opinion, this have to be horrible, right? For me, no, because, I like my clients. I like the people that if I don't like the person, I just don't work with it, no, in any capacity, not as client, not as whatever. So you can create your own world. You can create your own environment because you dictate how you want this environment to be. Of course, takes time because at the beginning, when you're building a business, you have to sell your product. You need to make a market fit. You're gonna have this client that want to pay you little money. We all have been there. Yeah, and then client don't want to pay a little money and they want more value and they can afford and whatever. But eventually, when you kind to adjust yourself, um, you can start to think not only what kind of business I'm gonna have, what kind of life I'm gonna have. Because for me, I use the business as a vehicle to live the life how I want to live it. Right? Yeah. For example, today we're broadcasting from Miami, from United States.
love
So
that.
travel, yeah, yeah, because to call in London for the moment. So the whole point is that the The whole point of this is that you can design what kind of life um, you want to have by being an entrepreneur. Okay, so what are the biggest or what message do you have for our listeners that they have this within themselves, that they want to start their own business as an entrepreneur, they want to have their own career, yeah, but they still, or somebody in corporate as well, but they still need this last push. They still need this little um, this little spark that would definitely we made them to take a decision that would change their life forever. So,
Yeah.
what message do you have for everyone listening? It could be in the 9 to 5 job, or could be these wannabe entrepreneurs. All these wannabe entrepreneurs, I know that they can be great entrepreneurs, but there is this last push that they need.
Yeah. I think it's as simple as this. I think if you're a 9 to 5 person, you're working part time somewhere, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be your own boss, you want to get your own time and own money. I think the best thing you can do is to be faced with some sort of a reality that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like, you want to
100%.
get a clear understanding of what this entails. Because I think a lot of people, when they want to be entrepreneurs, they're like, oh yeah, I got to quit my job and start from nothing. And like, sure, that's one way to do it. But I think one of the best ways to do it is continue your 9 to 5.
100%.
And then on your 5 to 9, 5 p.m.
Yes.
to 9 p.m., focus on, okay, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? Get your mindset
That's
right.
how I built my
Focus on
first
your
business.
product. Yeah.
I was
And I
working in
think,
the pub and parallel I was building my first business. That's a great advice. Continue, please. It's a great tip.
yeah, I was just going to say, thank you. I think it's really important to continue getting that income from the 9 to 5. And then on the 5 to 9, get your mindset right, understand truly what it means to be an entrepreneur. Because a lot of people, well, like, I'm working now more than I ever had. I've never really had a 9 to 5 job, but if I did, I would be working. I work more now than I probably would ever if I had a 9 to 5. So people need to be faced with the reality. You're going to work a lot more than you are currently, but so you need to make sure you're loving what you're doing. I think it all boils down to that. Find something you're good at, that you love to do, and that you can make a living doing. Those three things are very powerful as well. And I really don't think you can go wrong. But you need to be faced with the reality of it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be probably the most hard, the most challenging thing that you've ever done as a human being. And that's okay. That's all normal of entrepreneurship. You're not doing anything wrong. It's not like you're a bad person. It's not like you're dumb. It's okay. And it's all normal, and it's all part of the process. So I would say that, and I'd caution people who are looking at, saying to not be an entrepreneur, but just caution them to say, listen, this is what it takes, and have that mindset before you embark on this entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah, but also there is a tiny difference, Sean, because one thing is to work because you have to, and work because you want to. Because when you love what you do, yeah, yeah, you work a lot, but you don't feel that you're working.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't feel that you're working, so you can. It doesn't really feel like working because you are passionate about the business. You're passionate about your own company, and you love it so much that you work there. But there is a tiny difference because be working because you have to, that working because you want to. Because eventually uh, I know because I've been there. It's exciting for you every time you have a new client. Wow, new strategy. I'm a creator. Yeah, I'm a lot of marketing people like creator, and the creator never thought to create. So of course, every time that a new client comes, so there is something to create. A lot of imagination, a lot of new things. So it's really exciting. But when you have fun and you create your own job and you actually create your own job and enjoy what you do. I think that this is something amazing. And yeah, you can be working more. For me, I don't have the distinction anymore. For me, there is nothing like Saturday, Sunday. I don't understand these things. You see, If
Likewise.
I if I actually I decided that for me it was a good idea to get Mondays off, and I'm telling you they are amazing Mondays off. You see, because the restaurants are there's nobody there, the restaurants, and the theater, the tickets. So Lydia, my partner, we decide to take Sundays and Mondays off completely. Yeah, getting out of the phone, which is challenges when you have people working for you and so on. But anyway, uh, and it's working amazing. So and and again that we designed, we do work that can be done from anywhere. So like this, you can travel. So you can design this, adapt the business to the lifestyle that you want to live, and of course, once you have skills, once you know how to develop a product, once you know how to sell it, um, uh, you can design a wonderful lifestyle for yourself while doing what you love. So, Sean, tell us if somebody's in love with our conversation and want to know more about your digital marketing agency, how people can find you, how the process works. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. You can just go to our website over at needmomentum.com. That's needmomentum.com, needmomentum.com. You can learn more about me, my story, my business partner, Mac, his story, and what we have going on over at our company.
The name is amazing of the website. Wow. This I love the name of the
Thank you.
website. Fantastic. Yeah, very good. You guys are very good. I can tell if you put that name to the uh to the website. So Sean, thank you so much for the broadcast. I really appreciate it, and I think that our audience learned a lot today about how important marketing and sale is in the when you're starting your business. Also, try to work and to hire the right person people. That's also very important. Yeah, we have also challenged Sean because entrepreneurs go there also, and they what they do they go to YouTube, they find a marketer with a Ferrari, Rolls Royce or the whatever, and they decide that this is gonna be the person they're gonna work with. And after they find out that they charge them a lot of money, they got very little value, and now they say, "Well, I don't do marketing. That doesn't work." You know what I mean? So, to everybody listening, be realistic and try to find the right marketing agency that suit your needs. Someone that have the feet on the ground and that can help you at this stage. Um, with the right strategy and cost effective. And, I'm sure you contact Sean. He's open to a conversation with you. So thank you so much for the broadcast and for all of you. See you in our next episode of On the Stop of How Brave Entrepreneur Life Share Break That Will Achieve the First Million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.